The story begins on a morning in June 1989. There was a strange restlessness all over Iran. Supreme leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini was seriously ill. Millions of people were glued to their radio sets. They were filled with both hope and fear. Then, at 7 o'clock in the morning, Radio Tehran announced the news that plunged the entire country into mourning. Khomeini had passed away. Everyone's eyes were filled with tears. Some people wept as if an elder from their own family had died. Millions of people rushed towards the capital, Tehran. Even public transport wasn't enough to handle the crowds. Amid all this, a 16-year-old boy was on the road, trying to get from Qom to Tehran. At that moment, a cleric's Toyota stopped, and the driver invited the boy to sit, calling him brother. The car had only gone a little distance on the road to Tehran when news started playing on BBC radio. The news was that the Assembly of Experts had chosen President Ali Khamenei as the successor to the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. What happened after this news? What had happened before it? What has changed or not changed in Iran since then? We will talk about all these topics. Welcome to our channel. Today, we will talk about Iran's Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, about his role in shaping Islamic Iran, about the deadly attack on him, and also about his government's stance on women. First, let's take you inside the speeding Toyota car on the road to Tehran. The 16-year-old boy was shocked by the news that Khamenei had become the supreme leader. According to the 1979 constitution, it was necessary to hold the title of Ayatollah to become the supreme leader. The boy asked the cleric driving the car, "Do you think Ali Khamenei is an Ayatollah?" The cleric replied, "Of course not. No one considers him one. But this is a time of crisis for the government. Maybe people will change their opinion about him later." That very evening, Iranian television broadcasted the meeting of the Assembly of Experts. Khamenei was reading Khomeini's will. It took him 3 hours. In the will, Khomeini had not named any successor. Later, a secret meeting was held, and Khamenei was chosen as the supreme leader. That same evening, for the first time, Iran's state media referred to Khamenei as Ayatollah. For the past 35 years, Khamenei has been Iran's supreme leader. Even superpowers like Israel and the United States have not been able to shake him down. On one hand, he is praised. On the other, he is accused of crushing women's rights and freedoms through religious extremism. To understand more about him and what is said about him, let's take a look at the journey of Khamenei's life. Khamenei was born on July 15, 1939, in the city of Mashhad, Iran. His father was a cleric, and Khamenei followed the same path. By the age of 11, he had become a cleric too. He developed a deep interest in Persian literature and started writing poetry at a young age. He was an avid reader. It is said that he has read more than 2,000 Iranian and foreign books. He also listened to a wide range of thinkers. One who inspired him deeply was Sayyid Qutb, a thinker from the Sunni Muslim Brotherhood. Khamenei even translated some of Qutb's works into Persian. At one point, Marxism also influenced his political ideology. His father wanted Ali to remain a traditional cleric and stay away from politics. But due to his literary and intellectual interests, he was caught between two worlds. One, the world of clerics, and the other, the world of secular intellectuals. Khamenei was very different from how he appears today. Before the 1979 revolution, he was seen smoking. He liked to smoke a pipe. He tried to set himself apart from traditional clerics. He wore a wristwatch, kept his hair long under his turban, and sometimes even wore shoes instead of traditional sandals. In 1951, Nawab Safavi, leader of Fadayan-e-Islam, gave a speech that deeply influenced Khamenei. In that speech, Safavi talked about implementing Sharia and spoke against the Shah and the British betrayal. Khamenei believed that Safavi's movement was an early warning for Khomeini's Islamic Revolution. From 1958 to 1964, Khamenei lived in Qom, which is considered the stronghold of Shia clerics. It was there that he met Khomeini. At that time, the relationship between Khomeini and Khamenei was only that of teacher and student. Khomeini didn't know him very well yet. Their closeness developed later. On the suggestion of Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, Khomeini appointed Khamenei as a member of the Revolutionary Council. This is the same Rafsanjani who later became Iran's president after Khamenei became supreme leader. Anyway, let's move forward. The 1960s were a time of great turmoil for Iran. During this period, when Khamenei wore clerical robes and played with children of his age, he was often mocked and made fun of. The government of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was known for its pro-American policies. He was also accused of promoting modernization and Western values. This entire movement was called the White Revolution. Under it, lands were taken from landlords and given to farmers, and women were granted the right to vote. However, this led to growing dissatisfaction within religious circles. Khomeini called the Shah a puppet of the West and opposed his policies. The policies aimed at developing Iran along Western lines were strongly criticized. They were labeled anti-Islamic and accused of corrupting Iranian society. Khamenei followed the same line of thought and in many cases openly criticized Reza Pahlavi's policies. Eventually, the clash and disagreement grew to such an extent that Khomeini had to spend a significant amount of time outside the country. It is said that Khamenei was only 24 years old when he gave a powerful speech in Mashhad. This speech caught the attention of the Shah's secret police, SAVAK. He was arrested and tortured in prison. After that, Khamenei faced jail and exile several times. When Khomeini was forced to leave the country because of Pahlavi, Khamenei's stature in Iran began to rise. At the same time, opposition to Pahlavi also increased, and eventually he had to step down from power. In 1979, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. Khomeini became the supreme leader, and Khamenei was appointed Deputy Defense Minister. He also held positions like Acting Commander-in-Chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. He is considered to have played an important role in the Iran-Iraq War. Just as he had returned from the battlefield, a tragic incident occurred on June 27, 1981. After the afternoon prayer, Khamenei was addressing a crowd. A bomb hidden inside a tape recorder suddenly exploded. There was a loud blast. He fell to the ground. The right side of his body was filled with shrapnel and pieces of the tape recorder. A part of his chest was completely burned. His right hand swelled up and stopped functioning. The bones were clearly visible. He was rushed to the hospital and surgery began. At one point, the surgery was even stopped. The surgeon said, "He's gone." His blood pressure had dropped to almost zero. Then slowly, his blood pressure started rising again. The surgery continued and it was successful. However, after this incident, Khamenei's right hand almost completely stopped working. Even today, he cannot fully use his right hand. After the assassination of the current president, Khamenei was made the president of Iran in 1981. During his time, there was a massacre of political prisoners in 1988 took place. His supporters say that, as president, Khamenei had very limited power. At that time, Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi held more influence. In 1988, when thousands of political prisoners were executed, Khamenei was allegedly unaware of it. However, his critics do not agree with this claim. In 1989, Khamenei became the supreme leader of Iran. At that time, serious questions were raised about his eligibility. According to the constitution, the supreme leader must hold the title of Marja, which is a high-ranking title among Shia religious scholars. But Khamenei only held the title Hojatul Islam, which means a mid-level cleric. It is said that during that time, Khamenei tried to pressure several senior religious leaders into giving him a certificate of Ittihad, which would prove his religious qualification, but he failed to get such endorsements. This was a major crisis because without a proper title, he couldn't gain religious legitimacy as Khomeini's successor. To overcome this crisis, he decided to change his image. After becoming supreme leader, Khamenei underwent dramatic changes. He had to prove that he was an Ayatollah and worthy of the position. So, he changed his clothing. Instead of a tight-collared robe, he started wearing a kabah, a loose gown. He grew his beard longer. The wristwatch he used to wear disappeared. He trimmed his hair short, under his turban, as much as possible. At that time, he was only 50 years old. To appear older and more spiritual, he even started whitening his beard. Some claim that Khamenei was made supreme leader because he was not seen as very influential, and that powerful leaders thought they could use him to promote their own political agendas or keep him under control. But after becoming supreme leader, Khamenei gradually built his own power. He took several steps for this, many of which are still criticized today. He established the Beit Rabbah, the office of the supreme leader, which is considered the most powerful institution in Iran. Khamenei filled it with his friends and loyalists, an allegation that suggests it gave him personal influence over both Iran's domestic and foreign policies. Khamenei did not keep the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as just a military force. He expanded its political, economic, and cultural reach. The IRGC started functioning like a deep state within Iran. It is also said that Iran now has not only a regular army for land, air, and sea, but also the IRGC's separate land, air, and naval forces. This setup is often compared to the Chinese model. Continuing the story, he even placed a bureaucratic system over the clergy. Madrasas were given heavy financial support, but in return, their independence was taken away. Some steps were taken that placed the supreme leader above even the constitution, giving him unlimited powers. Criticism arose over the suppression of dissent. During protests, police were allegedly allowed to fire at will. Hundreds of people were killed. The Iranian government has also been accused of oppressing women. Protests against the Islamic dress code have taken place repeatedly. In 2022, Mahsa Amini allegedly violated Iran's hijab law. She was arrested by Iran's morality police and later died in custody. Despite the outrage, the hijab law was made even stricter. At the time, this incident made international headlines. Smart cameras were installed to monitor hijab violations. Women who don't follow the dress code are arrested. They are often punished with 74 lashes and held in solitary confinement. One woman who experienced this told the BBC, "Solitary confinement was as bad as you can imagine. The door of the cell always stayed shut. It was 1 meter by 1.5 meters in size. There was no natural light from outside. A bulb inside stayed on day and night. When we were taken to the toilet, our eyes were blindfolded." Even though many people praise Khamenei for standing up to Israel and the United States, many of his repressive decisions have also been criticized in the past. Currently, he is deeply involved in this conflict, and Iran's retaliation against Israel has overshadowed all other news. As you know, in recent days, both countries, Iran and Israel, have launched attacks on each other. Before we end, an important note. At the beginning, we spoke of a 16-year-old boy. His name is Mehdi Khalaji. He later wrote a book titled The Regent of Allah, Ali Khamenei's Political Evolution in Iran. This book greatly helped us in making this video. We'll meet again with another story. Keep watching Legacy of Centuries. Take care of yourself. Thank you.